Right after the game, Salah speaks to the press, which again isn't something he does all the time. Scheduled remarks and went in. Um, Said he's being scapegoated, talking about how he feels. And this afternoon, we had Jamie Carragher's response in the media. Seems to be an all-out civil war going on currently. So yeah, I think the best place to start, Mila, you're right. We do need to start with someone who's been in and around this situation for a while. So I do want to start with Thomas's thoughts and just kind of how this has all unfolded.
Yeah, it's incredibly shocking, right? I mean, you're already disappointed about the result, and then you're on Twitter and you see this, and you're like, what in the world is going on? It's not the first time Salah's spoken out last season about contract talks, although that's, of course, in a different vein. This one, there's some malice behind it, right? It seems like from both sides. Obviously, as a fan base, we're questioning why Salah's on the bench 3 matches in a row, right? That's not something that has ever happened. I don't think he's even been benched for back-to-back matches in 10 seasons. As well as why not bring him on as a sub? Like that kind of, if you're going to, play game Slot, like, you at least play him a little bit. Maybe it helps. No, I think it was, there's so much to unpack. I don't know where we start here, but I'm not utterly surprised it's happening in the sense, like once you kind of flesh it all out. I mean, Salah's a world-class player. He's been a top 3 player with Ronaldo and Messi over the last decade, and he has kind of earned that superstardom role. And I don't think it's that uncommon in soccer for a player to do this. He's given his all to the club. He goes out and signs a new contract last season, and he feels that Slot or whoever kind of behind the scenes is not really doing what they said they would do, or trusting him in a way that he thought he would be trusted, right? We don't know those conversations. We don't know what's been promised. The fact of the matter is this is a really easy conversation to have when we're in the form we're in, right? If we're in first place, this obviously isn't happening, or, second, third, even, right? This isn't happening. So I'm sure you guys will touch on the Carragher stuff too. I mean, I'll just say briefly, I think, yes, it is strategically timed in the matter of we're dropping points. I will say Salah is a little bit calculated in that regard. You never want to see it, but here we are, and who knows what the outcome is going to be, but I'll leave it at that for now and let you guys kind of pitch in a bit.
Ayla?
I'm so happy with this. I don't think these issues came up last year because, like you were saying, they were winning. They ran away with the league, so they were just all happy clappers about everything. But I've been harping on it for a while that I think Slot is just fraudulent and not a good coach when it comes down to it. This is his team that he's built, and it's all kind of fallen to shit. And you've taken, like you were saying, a legacy player, not just a player that had a phenomenal season last year, one of the best we've seen in the league, but to do that consistently in the Premier League for a plethora of years, I do think that garners a bit of money in the bank when it comes to situations like this. So for him to be the scapegoat, I do think he is a scapegoat in this situation. It's a really bad look for the club, especially in a time like this, in a time of regression and just adversity. This is not what you want to see from like your best player or your coach. So as a Liverpool hater, this is awesome. I'm having the time of my life right now. But yeah, Facundo, you've been quiet.
Yeah, I actually am of the opposite opinion. I thought the comments were kind of a bit selfish, and just like, you haven't been in good forms. You haven't played in 7 days. It's just been 7 days you haven't played, and you come out with a comment like that. Considering, obviously, it's tactical because of the form that they're in, but I just think that that's you're not helping your team there. You're more worried about yourself than the collective. Now, does that mean he's wrong? I don't know. To me, that's something you do behind closed doors, but there's a reason why he's doing it in public. I'm just not particularly a fan of how he's handled it. Again, he has not been in good form this year. So if it's last year, right, you're scoring every other game. You're scoring 2 goals, whatever a game it felt like. You can kind of do this. But I think considering the situation, it's a bit selfish. But yeah, I mean, the manager also has a problem because he can't figure it out. And he's got a bunch of talent to potentially figure it out. I kind of feel for him too, because if not for Konate, that game probably ends in a Liverpool win and they cruise. But you make one stupid ass mistake and then it costs your team. And that should have been the headlines, but instead we're talking about Mo. Because Konate's been in horrendous form and doesn't get dropped.
Spent half
right?
$1 billion and didn't buy a center back. They didn't buy
there's that. I see both sides. I don't think the coach is doing himself any favors, and I don't think that of Mo, but I just don't think it was the right decision to go do this because it's selfish. But yeah, I mean, another guy's in horrendous form and he hasn't been dropped. So you know what I'm saying?
I think that's where I give him a little leeway. Sorry, I'll just finish this up and then pass it to you. But yeah, if there were players that were having more output, more effective in the game, then I totally get it. And I agree with you, it would be selfish. If they were playing well and he came out and said this stuff, would be selfish. And we've seen that plenty of times in the Premier League. Where for them to be bad and for what he means to this club, and then to drop him for nothing better, it's appalling to me. So that's where I'm coming from on my take.
I mean, yeah, I do agree. Salah, I mean, we were calling for him to get dropped at a point, right? Like, form hasn't been there. You're losing every game. You got to change something and see if it works. And again, to your point, did it work or did you play West Ham, right? Like, get him back in the team, see if you can get him going. So, yeah, I do think it got a little personal in that sense of 3 straight times, didn't even bring him on against Leeds. Yeah, I just think the way he handled it, to Facundo's point, I also perceived it as a bit selfish just because you inherently should know by coming out publicly with this pretty much ultimatum, the way I saw it, you're not helping your team by doing that. Maybe in his eyes, by getting rid of Slot, he's helping the team, right? But you're causing so much distress by making this a public thing. And again, Thomas makes a good point of, I think an important thing that Salah said was he was made promises that weren't kept. We don't know what he's talking about. We do not know what promises. We don't even know if he's telling the truth on that. But I think that's where it is. He was told one thing and now another thing's playing out. But just to handle it publicly, I get, but also just leaving to AFCON in a week's time, just almost kind of leaving your mess for a month and a half. I don't know. That's kind of how I perceived just making it public. I do think to an extent both guys are right. I thought Salah should have gotten dropped, and I'm starting to question if Slot's going to be able to turn it around. So I can see both sides, but I just think surely it could have been handled in the back of the house.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add more to it. I'm not saying Salah is like absolved of everything, but right. I'll give you my stance here, who I side with. I mean, obviously you want to see these things played out behind closed doors. Obviously it's tactical, not only in the form, but the fact that the January window's approaching and he's going off to AFCON, right? Like all of these play a factor. And regardless of his form, obviously he's backing himself to continue being a world-class player. And if Slot's basically said, you're not part of the plans, even for how much he loves Liverpool, he wants to go and continue to play, right? Like, I think we can all understand that. Who knows if that ends up happening? I think, not to extrapolate, but if the club goes ahead and sells him in January, I mean, watch out. Like, this fan base is going to riot. Like, that's you don't do that. Yeah, I think his form is clearly not there. But when you look at the struggles of Liverpool, it's not really the attack. I mean, yeah, it's not at the levels it's been of prior seasons. But I mean, we've conceded joint most goals with basically everybody in the relegation zone, right? Like the only teams that have conceded more than us are the 3 relegation teams, and Forest, I believe. So the defense is clearly the issue. I don't even think the midfield's been that great, and that's saying a lot because we brought in Wirtz, and the midfield was so good last year. So that's the problem. I think, Mila, you touched on it, right? You don't bring in a center back outside of Giovanni Leone, who goes ahead and tears his ACL in the first match, which is incredibly unfortunate. But regardless, there should have been more defensive support brought in. And in my eyes and all Liverpool fans' eyes, I think we went for Isak, and that's a whole nother story. Hindsight's 2020. Clearly, you probably would take Gahey over him now, even in a like for like a swap, like 150 mil, like 50 mil, whatever it was. It's like you would do that in a heartbeat. You have Joe Gomez on your bench. I'm not saying this guy lights it up, but he's a fantastic squad player. And Slot this year to last year, it's so different. I don't know if anybody remembers this. It might have been the first match of the season. I think it was. Jarrell Quansah starts over Konate. He gets hooked after 45 minutes.
Yep.
Like, just, you're playing like crap. Get out of here. And Konate has consistently been our worst player all season long. Mm-hmm. To not try Gomez just seems a little bit, I guess, the wrong choice. And to Salah's like perspective, a little like, why am I getting dropped? And then there's also the whole like Cody Gakpo starts every game with like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a Cody Gakpo like hater. Like, this guy does score a fair amount of goals, but I don't know. I think when you look at the recruitment brought in this summer, and you look at it from Slot's perspective, okay, if you thought Salah was on the way out, or you weren't 100% convinced with him being your starting right winger for 38 matches, then why is the only out-and-out right winger you brought in, well, nobody but Frimpong, right? That was your AFCON coverage. Yeah. You have Chiesa there, but you never play him. Like, I just don't understand what the thought process was with that recruitment, if this is kind of where he was going. It's like, it kind of confuses me.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy that, I mean, what's coming out is it seems like they're backing Slot, right? And he's dropped from the squad. And again, it's a short-term solution, right? We're not sure if he's going to play on the weekend. But, I mean, it kind of seems like obviously a lot can happen. But the way it's trending right now seems like he either has to apologize, and I don't know if I could see that happening, or he's done. I mean, we saw a certain source say that he's getting sold in January. I don't necessarily put too much stock into that, but I just don't know how this ends. Like, what's the next steps? Like, how's this playing out?
Alone.
I mean,
if you haven't let go, loaned out, honestly.
Yeah. If you haven't let go of the manager yet, then you're going to let go of the player, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You don't remove the player if you're not.
You think they can't reconcile?
I think they can. I think the issue is obviously Thomas has hinted at the defensive issues. My reason for dropping Mo was because everybody was targeting him because he doesn't run back. But I think that's a collective issue within the front line of the team. It's not just a Mo Salah issue. It's none of them do it. And not enough, because there's only one guy really in the back line right now that can defend, and Connor Bradley, when he plays, may be at right back. But when you have one guy defending and you're relying on your world-class keeper to make insane saves every day, like, you're going to struggle. But I don't think you can scapegoat one specific player, even though I agree. I thought he should have been dropped. I'm shocked he just hasn't gone into like a 4-4-2 already, or even a 3-back, and just play all 3 of your center backs. But I mean, he's got to figure it out. But he hasn't done anything to change it. He tried going back to last year, and you still look like shit. So at some point, you got to find a solution. Sorry.
No, I mean, the tactics are all wrong, and it's not like when we tried playing like last season. It wasn't even really last season, which is like frustrating. I think the idea that Mo doesn't track back, okay, sure, let's take that at face value. None of the attack tracks back. If you look at it from last season, distance covered, Salah's numbers are actually up from last season, right? So is that a fact that we're having to defend more? Probably, but this isn't a guy that just consistently stays forward. He will help. Is he that effective in doing so? No, but I would say when we're on the ball, right, in possession, we're playing like a 2-1-7. Like it's absolute blasphemy. It's a joke. The midfield's non-existent because everybody wants to get forward. The only players that even come to pick up the ball, right, Soboslai and Gravenberg. But there's nobody to pass to because they're all on the 18-yard box, and it's just stagnant and it's slow and it's pass it to the left, pass it to the right. Like it's kind of a disaster. It's like where are our star players? Why are they not coming on the ball? And where did the midfield go? Right. And I think kind of that it's kind of 2 for 1. It's the tactics and the formation are bad and the recruitment's bad when it's like, okay, you have all these attackers, but they all want to play in the exact same left channel. So you only have Salah on the right, Ekitike, Isak, Wirtz, Gakpo. They literally all want to play at the same spot, right? And then 2, it's like, okay, when I see Salah's dropped, okay, now you're playing a front 2, front 3, depends how you look at it. But basically your furthest 2 advanced players are either Ekitike and Isak and Wirtz. Well, they're going to drift left. Ekitike is going to drift into midfield, and it's like you have Wirtz is like your only central attacking option, which that's not getting the best out of him. Grant, you kind of alluded to it when we go to Italy tomorrow, our traveling squad. The only winger in our entire squad tomorrow is Ngumoa. The only winger. So, Gakpo's not traveling. He's hurt. Same with Chiesa. So then you drop Salah. It's like, how is that even possible, right? So I think a lot of things are wrong. I think to your guys' point, if you're this far, you back the manager. I can see that perspective. I just think it's a really bold move by the board. I know you guys might think otherwise, like a coach is a coach, a player is a player, but
I get it.
Salah's
different.
It's
incredibly different. And I just think that was my whole reasoning behind it being such I think dumb is too simple of a word, but just to come out and have this conversation, you're immediately pitting your fans against the coach who you're probably questioning already, and then one of your all-time legends. So to make them pick you over the coach, like just starting up that sort of dialogue, I just think it's a negative for the team as a whole. When in reality, you hash it out behind doors going like, hey, why am I not in this team? Like, I clearly rates himself very highly. I think all the greats probably do. But like,
I just
go
think
ahead.
if he lost the dressing room, he's lost the dressing room.
Yeah.
And that's Salah's a big part of the dressing room. So
of course.
But I also think
I think
at
that's where the
Salah's
big
age,
issue is.
you can.
Of course,
I understand why the club is doing that because at that age in that position, and based on what you've already seen,
I think this is more like a eject button. I'm not happy with the situation. I don't want to be here with the last couple years of my peak, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
that's the confusing part, which is why I think it's like, which we're never going to know. What went down in the summer with contract negotiations? Like, we're not too far removed from that. So between Salah, Slot, the board, like, what's changed so much? I don't believe that being on the bench for 3 matches in a row is the sole reason why he came and spoke out this way. To Mila's point, I think the dressing room has been lost to an extent. I don't think it's unsalvageable, but when you just look at our players' body language on the pitch, it's night and day different from not only last season, but of course every season under Klopp. And I look at our captain Van Dijk specifically, it's uncharacteristic of him to act in the way he does. Like, take aside his own personal match rating, if you will, but just the way he looks and his gestures and his posturing, it's just off. So I believe something is deeper happening behind the scenes. And it's due to the drop of form, but I don't know. The man management seems to be missing or off. Like something's wrong.
Any closing thoughts, guys? Because I really think it's just everything coming into a head at once, and Salah going public. It's got to play out now that everyone's seeing it. So it's a lot of things to Thomas's point. It's not just 3 games dropped. I mean, we've seen over the course of the season, really since the summer, it's all kind of led up to this, and now everything's, hitting at the same intersection, right? So it's all going to play out. Mila, other than long may it continue, what do you think?
I just think Salah will be gone in January. Who knows though?
It'd be a monumental error from the board to sell Salah. You can't quantify what that decision would kind of spark from our fan base.
I think I can.
Well, I know what I'm rooting for now.
Happen.
Yeah, I know what I'm rooting for.
Can I also ask a question?
Oh, of course.
Right. If the argument is that there's no one bigger than the club when it comes to Trent, why is Salah the exception there?
Like you're saying, how did Salah become so much more valuable than Trent? Trent wasn't sold out of like want by the club.
No, I know, but I guess, but like, I still think you're not more than the club applies here, right? Like it's a guy that's how old now? 30s?
34.
Like,
yeah,
on the later end of his career, like, would it not make sense to get some sort of money for him instead of letting him go in a year or two for free? And you don't even know what kind of form he's going to be in for the next year and a half?
Nah, because you bought Salah for 34 million. You don't give a rat's ass what you get back for him. He's your legend with Stevie G and Kenny Dalglish. He should finish his entire career as a Liverpool player, whether that's at right wing or on the bench. Like, in my opinion, and obviously he doesn't want to be on the bench, but no, I think Salah's way bigger than Trent, even though Trent's a local lad. Yeah, nobody's bigger than the badge, but if anybody's gonna come real close to it, it definitely is Mo Salah.
I think circumstances play a part too, because in principle, yes, no one's bigger than the club, and we've heard a lot of former players coming out saying that in regards to this discussion. But I do think you'd have to look at context. I do think it's important, and of this generation of Liverpool teams, he's the first name that comes to mind, right? Like he's the guy on these teams, so. It's a huge power play, and the thing is, if you cave in now, what precedent does that set? I think that's the dangerous part of going that route. But again, I think the best case scenario is everything goes well at AFCON. He comes back, cheery, you're top 5. It's not a problem. Picked everything up, and all is well. But again, I don't think that's too likely.